Hey y'all, welcome to our South Georgia garden. Today I'm going to be doing some tasks on my own while Mark is out doing some bush hogging. So in a video earlier we showed you how we put down drip irrigation in our beds, and they are not hooked up to an automatic system, but we bring our hose to those. So I'm going to show you today how I do that. I'm going to, these beds are needing some irrigation, so I'm going to bring my hose over and irrigate these beds, and I'll set my timer, and I'm going to go do some other tasks while I'm waiting for my timer to finish irrigation for this bed. I will probably do a little bit of weeding, and I do have several plants that I want to get planted. I'll show you how I plant small plants that don't have to be ogged in. So I hope you will come along. Since it's a nice day outside, there's some things I want to get done. And while I'm doing some work in the garden, I also want to water some trees and shrubs that have been newly planted. But as you can see, this is as far as my hose from my house will go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the area that I'm going to irrigate, and there I have waiting for me another hose. And I keep it just in a little container near the irrigation bed. I also have my irrigation line set up. So I'm going to get my hose out and connect it. Okay, so I've got my other piece of hose connected to my first hose, and now the water's turned on here. But I have it shut off with my shut-off valve. I'm going to come to my irrigation line, and on the end, I'm going to take out that male adapter that was keeping trash and debris from getting in the irrigation line. I'm going to put it in my little pot here so I don't lose it, connect my water hose, and since this end swivels, it makes it really easy to connect my hose. I'm going to open my water line going to the irrigation, and I'm going to open my water source coming in from the hose. And immediately I can hear the air being pushed out of the irrigation, so that I know that the water is going to all of my shrubs and to my trees. I'll set my timer. I'm going to let this run about 30 minutes, and I'll come back and check it then. So I'm going to set my timer. Okay, I've set my timer for 30 minutes, so this way I can go back into my garden and do some other garden chores for about 30 minutes. When my timer goes off, I'll come back and assess the water here. One task that I wanted to complete today while my irrigation is running was to put out these little Dusty Miller plants. I bought these in little 6-packs plugs, so they're very tiny, and I'm going to put them in around this dogwood, which is actually Cherokee Princess dogwood. This is its first season in the ground, and so its roots are pretty close to the surface. So that's why I'm not going to use my power planter auger here. I'm going to just pull back my straw and mulch, and I'm just going to plant them directly into the soil near the surface of this dogwood. And for us, the Dusty Miller is often, it's listed as a perennial, but it often survives for us and lives for a couple of seasons. So I'm going to put it around this dogwood to kind of give it some socks or to sort of shade its roots, because right now this dogwood is in full sun. When we planted it, there was a big oak around it, but the oak has been removed, and so I want to plant something around it to give it some socks. And as I'm going, I'm seeing a few little weeds, so I'll just pull out those little weeds, put them in my pot, and I have five dusty millers, so I'm going to just sort of ring this dogwood with those plants. And as I said, it's just going to be a tiny hole, so I'm just going to ring them, pulling it back with my little hand shovel here. Sit that in. I'm just going to kind of position them. Make sure that's where I want them to go. I do notice that I have a plant here in front that I planted recently that's a perennial that has gone dormant. But I do have my tag here, so I can see that this is a dune sunflower that's going to be along the front border here. So I'm going to try to position my dusty miller away from the dune sunflower. So I think maybe right here will be a good spot for it. Coming on around. Position this one. Making just a little circle with my 5 dusty millers. And then I have some of my biotone here. I'm going to put a little bit of biotone, just a handful of biotone in each hole to help those roots get started. Yes, and even though it's winter time and the plants aren't really growing that much, the root system needs some help. So that's really what the biotone is for. The biotone is to give it help it to get good, strong roots. And I'm just pulling out any little weeds that I find as I'm going here. Okay, I think I kind of have those dusty millers snuggled in. I'm going to give them a good drink of water, my rainwater that we had collected. And as I'm watering, I know I'm also watering the roots of my dogwood. So I'll come back and check on these annuals, see if they're needing more water. And as I said, when I water them, I know I'll also be giving some water to my dogwood, which could also use it because it needs to be watered even in the wintertime also when we're not getting any rain. And we actually haven't had any substantial rain for 2 weeks. So here in South Georgia, we're in a drought right now. So I'll definitely be sure that I pull my mulch back up and I'll pull my straw back up to snuggle these dusty millers in around this tree. But I will be careful not to let my straw or mulch be right up around the trunk of that tree. Okay, so I think that's going to be good. I'm going to have these 5 dusty miller ringing this dogwood, give it a little bit of shade its roots, and help prevent weeds from growing up around it. Okay, I think it's time. My timer's getting ready to go off, so I need to go back and move the water at my irrigation that I have out front. My timer went off, so now I've come back to undo this irrigation line. As I said, first I'm going to turn off the water source, the hose, turn off the hose. I can hear the air coming back into the line, so I know it's not going in there. I'm leaving this toggle on for just a minute, a few seconds. Then I'll turn it off to make sure the last little bit of water in my irrigation line stays in my irrigation line. I unhook the hose from the irrigation line. I get my little male end cap plug, screw it into the hose end adapter so that no trash or debris will go in my line. And now I'm ready to move on to the next bed that needs irrigation for today. And while that irrigation is happening, I'll be doing a little work in another garden bed. Well, as I was walking through the garden to go to my next task, I saw a few weeds here, and I always feel like in the past, well, if I get these weeds, what am I going to do with them? So I learned a little trick from Mimi, the mother of Jenny from Creekside, that what she does is she just saves some of her old garden pots that she got from the nursery pots, and she just kind of keeps one in each of her garden beds, just somewhere in an inconspicuous place, so that when she sees a weed, she can pull a weed, and she's got a receptacle to put it in. So I'm gonna get after this couple of weeds right here. I see them, the ground's a little moist, so it's easy to get them out. And I'm gonna just put them in my little extra nursery pot that I kind of had tucked away. That's about all that I see right here in this area. And I do have some other things I want to get done, so I'm just gonna put my little nursery pot back in its place, so the next time I'm passing through this bed, if I see some more weeds, I can get them. And also, remember, I've got my overalls on with my knee pads in them, so that anytime I need to just get down and pull a weed, my knee pads are right there with me, so that really makes it so convenient. Well, I think I'll head on to some of my other garden tasks. Well, Mark, we spent a good bit of time in the gardens today, but we kind of worked in separate areas, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I took Big John out to the pasture and attached the bush hog to it and did some bush hogging.
Right, and we needed some irrigation to some of those beds away from the house, so I spent some time irrigating those beds while I did a few garden chores closer to the house. So we do find that that's a good way for me to utilize my time and get a kind of multitasking, get a couple things done at a time.
Yes, when you've got 10 acres, you've got to kind of divide and conquer sometimes.
Right, but it was a beautiful day out in the sunshine, and it always just brings joy to my heart to be able to play in the dirt, get my hands dirty a little bit.
Yes, it does. Well, it's nice sitting on the back porch again.
Yeah, and if you're doing some chores, if you're able to be out, send us some comments. Let us know what you're doing this time of year, and we hope that you're enjoy this video today.
And hopefully you're at least out enjoying some sunshine when you get it.
And some fresh air.
Well, I believe it's time for some sweet tea.
Yeah, we're finally back together on the porch, so let's have some sweet tea.
Okay, sweetie. Cheers from our South Georgia garden.
Happy gardening.